News Radio.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.
Welcome to the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show, created and hosted by Scott Knudsen, to explore the crossroads of horses and business. Now here's your host, Scott Knudsen.
Hi, and welcome to the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. I'm your host, Scott Knudsen. Whether you're listening to us on KCAA, the NBC affiliate out in California, or watching our podcast on one of our many platforms, we really appreciate you. Today, we have a very special guest. Janice Johnson-Wilson is on the show, and it is going to be such a fun show. She is a clinician. She has been in the horse business over 60 years. She's an author with a soon-to-be published book. And she's a Mustang trainer to any type of breed of trainer. And she's also the mother of the Wilson women. So thank you so much for being on our show. It's an honor to have you on.
Oh, yeah, Scott, I'm glad you called, and I'm tickled to death to be here there. I was tickled to get to meet you at the NFR in 2020, I think.
Yes,
yeah.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It was my honor for sure. And it was because Wileen was there, and I've known her for a few years now. And man, I just enjoyed visiting with you. I knew the audience would love hearing some stories and really getting educated about the horse world.
Yes, that's what I do. I'm actually a nationally certified Monty Foreman instructor. And to be at the level of instructor I have to be the certificate says rider, instructor, and trainer. And so I have to have the ability, any place, anytime, with anyone, to teach them more about a horse than you can find in any book. So that's why I'm, redefining and writing a book so that people that read it can self-teach or help somebody else. Our instructors are, not teaching all they should be teaching. And the secret of great horsemanship is knowing the truth about a real horse and how it operates and being a horse themselves. So that's why my job. And so I'm in my 59th year of teaching, but I'm in the 63rd year of knowing and doing that. Yeah.
So amazing. And you just were in 21, you were in the Hall of Fame for pole bending.
Yes.
That's amazing.
I got a call and I was shocked. I was nominated for a Special Achievement Award for the National Pole Bending Hall of Fame. And I didn't think they remembered me, but I have a big background with pole bending horses. My daughter, Wenda Wilson Johnson, who's going to the NFR, I hope this year.
Right.
She's a world champion pole bender and high school champion, and all of my kids actually are, and all my students. And I was shocked that they remembered me, but I did in 2019 have one of my students win the World Paint Championship, Open Paint Championship. And then 2020, I had one of my kids win the Reserve World Championship at the AQHA finals.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. Well, it's when you help them and they know what they're doing and they ride and guide stride for stride, the speed doesn't bother them. And those horses, the faster you go, the better they get.
Love it. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And having the confidence to do it.
Oh, yes. And the mindset, that's why you have to understand that every time you set on a horse, you're a winner. But that doesn't mean you're going to get the trophy. You are a winner because you entered the arena, you tried. I tell everybody, don't know, I'll say it right. I've got CRS disease, can't remember stuff. But anyway, but you won't know if you don't go. That's what exactly, and that's what my own personal kids and all the others that I've mentored through the years, and all of my unofficial adopted boys and girls, and that's gone to do great things, and they live wonderful lives today because they have a knowledge of what a horse is and how we can help be a partner to it.
I love
So
that.
that's my
And
job.
what did you say? You told me, but I want the audience to hear this. So when you were at calf time or goat time, whenever you hit the arena,
Oh.
what was the one thing you said entering the arena?
Well, number one, I never entered the arena without a prayer saying thank you, dear Lord, and being grateful for the skills and opportunities that I had. And then when I was done with that, I would look over my shoulder and say, now, watch this, sports fans. Giggle and go. And I don't remember, we won every rodeo for 2 straight years and then won the national championship, college championship in 1966. And I just went to have a good time. And I didn't know that I went from wherever I was in the national ranking. I had one goat that the horse I was riding scotched and kept me from placing 4th or above. And that cost me the world championship. So, but I ended up 2nd in reserve and got all the goodies. And I was amazed. I totaled up all my college stuff that I did, and college rodeo paid for all my books and all my tuition for 5 years.
Isn't that something?
Yeah. And this year, and then in those days, they didn't have scholarships. And I had never competed in a rodeo until I was in college.
Oh, isn't that something?
And everything else, but no, I didn't. I hadn't had a barrel horse that because we didn't have a trailer. We had to ride everywhere. If you wanted to participate and see what other people were doing. That's why I have ridden to Payson and back from Mesa, Arizona 2 times, when I was 13, when I was 14, and when I was 15. I rode my horse that became my barrel horse from Bumblebee, Arizona to Prescott to ride in the Prescott Rodeo Parade.
How far is that? How many miles is
that? When they totaled up all the miles and I turned in my accomplishments, before I was graduated from high school, I'd rode over 1,000 organized rides. It's not counting all the others, because I lived on a horse. I rode the horse to ball practice and to club meetings and to my friend's house because we didn't have a horse trailer.
Isn't that something? Oh my goodness. Well, you were also Miss Rodeo Arizona and Arizona State Rodeo Queen. So
yeah,
you've done everything.
Well, in those days, the only things that girls could do in rodeo, and I was active in the rodeo club. I went to the rodeo club because I liked to show horses and I wanted to show horses, and I would have, and still today, I would like to ride every horse I see in the show ring. But when I got there, the boys teased me so badly. Oh, what you got? A barrel horse right there. And it's crazy. And it was. That mare did not stop. She jumped and leaped. And if you touched her hind end, she kicked. Oh, she was dangerous. I owned her, 6 years, never picked up our hind feet. Today, I could do all that stuff, but I didn't have the knowledge of how to get around a dangerous horse and teach it how to be a happy horse. What I learned from Monty Foreman was that what he said at the end of a clinic is, may you always ride a happy horse and do things the easy way. And the easy way method is what I believe in, and I won't argue that it's any different than what I know, because I've seen it, I've researched it, I've been there, I've done thousands of horses and thousands of people. Monty dedicated 60 years plus of his life to devising education for the average backyard horseman so that they could get the real joy, the agility, the skill, everything to be a true horseman.
Scott will be right back with more.
Hi, I'm Scott Knudsen, host of the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. Today, we're going to talk about something I'm really passionate about. Those that know me know I love my coffee. Those that don't, now you know I do. And we've been working on this for several months, and we wanted to get it just right. And we don't put our name on anything unless we feel 100% certain it's the best product we can get. And we've done it. I really believe we've done it. We've created a coffee line, 13 great flavors. I'm going to show you 3 of them. We have K-Cups in all 13 flavors. Here's a Jamaican Me Crazy. It's just a really great coffee. Everyone has great logos. It has a brand, the same brand that's on our horses, our trailers. You know that brand means something, and we wouldn't put it on here if it wasn't good coffee. We have whole bean. This is a great Honduran blend, and it's a whole bean coffee. We have whole bean in all 13 flavors. And then we have a ground coffee. This is a really great one. My wife and I really like this a lot, loved it. So we named it after our daughter, Hades Blend. Everyone has the packaging and the logo of the show, our brand. And I hope you like it. I really believe you will. And we're going to have more flavors coming out soon. We're going to have the pumpkin spices, and then we're going to go to peppermint after that. And please send us your suggestions as well. You can find it at cowboyentrepreneur.shop. Think coffee shop. Cowboyentrepreneur.shop. Thank you so much.
Do you know what the word horseman means?
No, ma'am. Please tell us.
Yeah, it means wisdom
Wisdom.
and knowledge. A horseman has wisdom and knowledge about what they're doing, not the fact that they just ride a horse. They can, the brutal guy, the one that uses force and domination on a horse doesn't know a thing about a horse. Because when the Lord created that horse, he made it perfect. But he didn't make us perfect. And we have to develop every skill, every talent, every gift we have all of our lives. But the horse is born knowing everything. It's a precocial being, born knowing everything and born at genius level. So from the day a horse is born until the day it dies, it basically is the same age and same knowledge and everything. And that's a gift that would be a good one for us.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But anyway, gaining the knowledge that the horse gives is the most important thing a person can do in their life. Monty Foreman used to always say in these clinics, he would say, folks, you must act in accordance with Mother Nature's law, because the horse is guided by Mother Nature's law. And do you know what the 3 big F's are?
Oh, please tell us.
Fear, flight, fight.
Right.
Fear, flight, fight, fear, flight, fight, because it's a prey animal. So when we understand that the horse is ruled by not us, and there's no way you can make a horse into a human. You have to go in the horse world. And to go in the horse world, you have to speak the language of the horse. And because the horse is an equine, the language that you learn to speak is equus. Equus. And it's a magic and wonderful thing when you understand it. When I was younger and I had a barn of 105 horses and the 50 families that came in, that was every kind of backyard and breed of horses that came in, I devised a way. I watched the problems that people were having and tried to figure out how to do it the Foreman way. I was listening to all of the big clinicians and seeing the run, and the round pins and all that stuff they were doing, and, lunging the horses, which was totally unnecessary. So I said, baloney. I was old and crippled, and I just Foremanized it. So I concentrated every lesson. So I had the ability to start a horse that at any stage, what doesn't matter if Mustang or old kid horse, and to take the bugs out of the brains. And so we could take, and within a few minutes, have a totally new horse. Now I say that because the horse is a single-minded animal and creation. and they can only think about one thing at a time. So that means when you're talking to the horse, you have to do it in their language, one thing at a time. But the question is how do horses learn, or when do horses learn? So when a horse learns, it's the first time. Every time, all the time, no excuses, no exceptions. The horse is always right because it's always answering to Mother Nature and what their instinct is of that breed of animal. So if that's a truth, and it is a big truth, that the horse is single-minded, actually they have no past and they have no future. And we say, whoa, 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 this horse was traumatized, this horse, blah, 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 blah. And everybody talks now at a big stable, or when you are around horse people, when they talk about their horse, they are not talking about their horse, they're talking about themselves. Because they can't, they won't,
Absolutely.
they don't. Yeah, they don't know and they don't understand. And the traditional methods are make them do it and force them to do it. And that horse has a side of its nature that you must tap into, and that's all horses like to play. And if all horses like to play, you have to play with them when you're teaching them.
Right.
That it's like the horse that wants to bite, nibble, and head bump you, and you declare war to that horse, and you say, you can't put your nose on me, and here they come.
Right.
And I see it every day, all the time. But how you stop a horse from doing that is you rub like this around the muzzle and the teeth, and look them in the eye and say, oh, you want to play. And you keep rubbing hard until they'll throw their head and finally step backwards. And then you stop and stroke her face. Now, when you stroke a horse's face, it's like stroking a baby's face. That skin and their hair, you got to go the direction of the hair. No rubbing, no patting, no flipping, no anything. Because in the herd, to learn how to be a herd animal, they get bit and they get kicked. Why do we stroke? Their mother licked them when they were a baby. So the more times you touch and the more times you talk to a horse and say, good for you, or say yes, or acknowledge every effort they make, the faster and quicker they learn. So what happened in this series when I was learning to do what I call the attitude adjustment, or the pin job, and it's a great way to start colts, and especially good if you're not going to be laying one down. The reason I did it, because I had to help people with the problems. Their kids couldn't lead the horse and they wouldn't get in the horse trailer, and and trainers were getting bucked off, and everybody was complaining. So I used to do this little job on a horse. My training space was only 20 by 20, very dangerous, not for an amateur to do, but you can concentrate a lesson in there. So we take that horse from wild to mild in about 3 hours, or 350, because you had to teach the human. I would work that horse, and where it was fingertip soft, and say, come on in here, and I want you to feel this, and they'd go, oh, wow. And and it didn't take long, because the horse learns the first time. The second time you do something with a horse, it's called what? It's called practice.
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 Oh, that's a tough word. That's a tough
Practice. And the practice is for who?
Yes, for the human.
Yes, it's of the human. The horse already learned it, whether it's good or bad, because it has a brain that's a reptilian brain surrounded by a mammalian brain, and it only can think about one thing at a time. But it's because of the mammalian around the reptilian, they learn by sensory movement. So anytime a horse moves its feet, it's learning. And you can erase old memory. If you put good memory in, you throw the garbage out. And I have reprogrammed hundreds of horses doing that simple technique. And that horse would walk in there, and we teach over 50 things in that short period of time. When I'm not showing a human and having to teach them too, I could do a horse in an hour to an hour and a half, over 50 things. And that horse was right there, loving every bit of it and tickled to death to do anything I asked, because I asked it. And then I allowed it time to respond and check the learning, give him the test. And third, I promised to kill him if we don't understand. So there's 3 stages you go. First you ask, then you suggest, and then you promise to kill him.
Yeah.
Never promise to kill him first. You never jerk on a loose rein. You never spur without telling the horse you're going to do it. And actually, I don't teach people in spurs because you're trying to sensitize the horse. And Monty Foreman said, folks, you don't know how a spur is used or what it's for, and it puts you on the wrong position every time, because you put spurs on, your knees come off. The horse judges you 100% by your behavior, not your spurs, not your bit, but your behavior. So the control of the horse is horse handling science is about learning how to move your hands, knowing how to move your feet, and how to think ahead, because you need to be 3 things ahead of that horse. As you guide them to success, you cause them to go to the purpose you want. And it works so slick and so fast and so easy. I can take a troubled horse and have him, untroubled that quick, because today we know the brain science. There's a new word out there for all the professional people and the beginners and everything. It's called down regulation. Down regulation is knowing how to down regulate the chemical releases in a horse's brain when the fear button hits. So you need to know how the sympathetic works to create the stress hormones, and then you have to know how the parasympathetic works to regulate that down, and that's down regulation. Big deals going on in the natural world of teaching horses to be desensitized. Desensitization is the result of down regulation, but the guys don't understand it. They've not been to our seminars, and I've had the privilege of being with Dr. Stephen Peters, the top neurologist that finally researched it out and published it in 2012. That's how new it is to the horse world. Yeah, brand new. And we had a seminar last week, people from all over the United States, and they were enthralled, had a great time, and got to see horses completely changed by simple techniques. And because that horse, I tell everybody, everybody's talking about timing, feel, rhythm, and balance, but they don't teach it because they don't really understand it, because they're riding a style, not a horse. Monty Foreman used to say, it's not English and it's not Western, it's world horsemanship. So my goal is to help people get into the top 2% of all people who've ever lived, so that they can feel that joy and the experience of it. I've had low back surgery after 60 years of suffering with a broken back. I finally got it repaired. And so I can't ride that horse, but I can feel everything that horse is doing, not only in my mind, but also in my body. I was given that gift so that when I'm coaching someone and they understand what I'm saying, we can change just that. It's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. But so the third thing happens when, the question again is what happens the third time you do something with the horse exactly like you did the first time.
Right.
The horse turns its spirit over to you, and then they trust you, they respect you, they respond to you. It is permanent memory, and it goes on call, which gives you a finished feel. But no horse is ever finished because it's subject to Mother Nature's law, always. It comes first, you come second. But if you've got the partnership, you can have it instantly and erase old memory and put on new memory, and it's amazing. That horse is an equine 1000 or organic computer, and with 10,000 megabytes and 20,000 hoofbeats, and you put garbage in, you get garbage out. You take the garbage out, and it's a wonderful experience.
It's awesome. And what's the level above Equus?
Oh, they can understand any language, and you can chain any pre-cue or thing. If the horse's feet are moving and you do it at least 3 times, you can come in and speak Russian, German, French, Spanish, Portuguese, Japan and Korean, and all these horses. When I had done a horse my way, and I'd done an attitude adjustment on a pre-Olympic horse one time, and if that big guy in the dressage world had known he was fourth ride on that horse, we'd already done a pin job on him. We'd already done a basic handle ride on him. He had a finished feel. That horse stood stock still. On the owner was a little small, and she stood there, and that horse didn't move. When the master came and he spoke German, he was 6'4", and he was wonderful. He comes out and runs the stirrups up and takes the horse, and he goes out and sends him on the lunge. And that horse tried to do everything he asked him to do because he had learned to watch human behavior. And what I do when I'm doing a pin job on a horse, I teach them to pay attention and know what is real and reward them every time. The secret is you have to tell them you did good and smile on your face. Yep. Never a frown. You don't ever hit a horse, like, swat them or spank them without telling them at first that you're going to do it. That's why we kiss or cluck, to turn the horse's mind on first before we turn the feet. I had students last week, and I watched them try. They were running their horses around and lunging them around, and no control, but they were doing 40%. But when I got through with them, they were doing 100%, and they were amazed. They could back that horse with their hand, with their nose, with their shoulder, with their finger, and with the wiggle. This is, the ask with your wrist. Right. And so they were amazed, and they're going to go back to 4-H and be happy kids. Absolutely. And the mom is a teacher, and she was thrilled. She says, I put her on the end of the line with a horse that didn't back and was head shy and erased. And so, amazing. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. Absolutely. Absolutely. And yes, so, ma'am.
And you were saying the other day, your daughter-in-law, y'all had a Mustang and you were going to work with him. And like in 4 hours, it was a totally different.
We had him done in 4 hours. It was my daughter-in-law. She was entered in the Queen Creek Mustang makeover a couple of years ago. At 9 o'clock, we were at the pens, picked up the horse that was drawn out of the hat for her. A little, nice little bay gelding. They're pretty skinny and scrawny, but he developed him into a beauty, and his name was Riverdance. And so we picked him up. An hour later, we were at the farm, and we pulled the gate off of the front yard, and I took the end of the rope and we fed it down the arena's fence into a solid cement post to, where he was caught, but he wasn't going to be hurt, and proceeded to work with him. And after we had flagged him and curbsided him, which was a wonderful thing, Juanette was working with him, and he put his head under her arm and responded to everything she asked. We want to get to the point you could snap your fingers and that horse comes to the side of the fence for you to mount and do anything with. And you can reach in and stroke legs, and nobody gets hurt. Horse doesn't get hurt, human gets hurt, and everybody's happier when you're done. So we were there on the fence, probably an hour and a half, 2 hours. And so I said, well, find out if he can lead. Took the halter, opened the gates, walked him clear back down to the round pen. And he was right there with her and happy as a clam. And so we took him out. I love to use John Mary's method. Number one, control the feet, direction of the feet. Two, be able to put anything on, over, under, around, through, beside, near, far away, or you close without causing fear or pain. And it's a simple technique. You just do a 10-year-old child running, being silly, because crazy people make great horses. and quiet people make spooky horses, but the spookier you can get and the more you challenge them, the faster they downregulate. And so Monty Foreman understood that. I heard him say several times, folks, I don't know why it works, but it just does. And he could have explained it, but he didn't want to explain it, because he said to me, and in the 60s, the people are too dumb, they can't understand. But he still, in his lifetime, taught about 95,000 people at over 900 clinics. And I was thrilled to be a part of those, because I was a demonstration rider. And when I was at the ranch, or when I was an instructor, and I was handling bad horses and fixing them up in front of an audience, Monty could take 5 minutes and totally change a horse's life. And, he would say, you have to be careful. People think it was that simple. It's not that simple. Right. You have to know what the rules are. And the first rule is there are no rules. Yeah, what's perfectly right here, perfectly wrong here. So it's not ever about right or wrong with a horse. It's about easy or hard. Right. Did you do it the easy way, or did you do it the hard way? So get rid of right and wrong. There is no right here. There is no wrong. Your goal is partnership, to be able to do the equidance with that horse. And the equidance is the most amazing thing. It's the greatest thrills of my life, and have been doing that kind of riding on a horse that's totally, has the agility and has the presence and can do it all. And all you do is think it, and it happens. Boom. And that's galloping 360s over the hocks, that spins, and the sliding stops, and falling off, and standing up, and reversing, and drop to trot, changes the leads, and then front foot first changes the lead, and hind foot first changes the lead. While we're on leads, did you know that horses change leads 4 ways?
4 ways.
4 ways, but everybody only teaches 3. And when I realized that we didn't have that in the language of horsemanship, we needed to have it so people wouldn't be lost, because they get lost when they want to change the leads on the horse. And now, Monty used to ask the word, or ask everybody, why is the canter called the canter? Interesting. He said the root word for canter was cant. Now, cant means, look at the picture up on the wall. That's straight. But this one's canted right and this one's canted left. So the word canter describes the position of the horse at the canter. And it's a 3B gait, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, at a slight 45-degree angle. I call it the magic 45. Everybody needs to know to put a horse into lead, you have to know what foot in you are personally in rhythm with. So as that horse, you come through the move basics that are in this wonderful book, Monty's last book that he wrote in 83 before he died. He left this treasure, and it's full of great pictures and descriptions and horses that I used to ride. Great memories of, and his other little book was called The Cantankerous Leads.
Cantankerous Leads. I love that.
And those, because people didn't understand it. And if you look, the books are called the Easy Way books.
The Easy Way. I love that. I loved how you were in doing the clinics with Monty.
Oh yeah, I had 2 years that I did that.
And you were riding horses with only 5 or 6 or 7 rides.
Oh well, first rides one day.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, it's that easy.
Point about the theory.
Yeah, well, it does prove the point, and that's why this legacy, I call Foreman the father of modern day Western horsemanship, because he was a researcher. He dedicated over 60 years of his life. When I met him, he was 52 years old, and he had ridden 25,000 horses.
Goodness.
Oh, and
that's a few.
And as I've researched his life and knew what he did and how there's a wonderful Rick Lamb show on his life about Monty Foreman, and I think it's still on the internet on the horse show, and you can get that, and it's great. Rick did a super job and explaining who Monty Foreman was and the legacy. And my job, I feel, is to educate everybody a little better about why we need to study what that man was doing, because behind you, there's a whole row of 20 or 30 bridles, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. And guess what? Do you know what they're for and how to use them? No, everybody is conned and brainwashed into getting a bit that will work. The control of the horse is not in the bit. Surprise, surprise, it's in the mind. That's why you have to turn the mind on before you turn the feet. And John Rary was right about that. So control the direction of the feet, anything on, over, under, around, through, beneath, without causing fear or pain. So that Mustang, when we had him ready to go, we just let him out to the round pen, prepared him to be laid down. Number 3 step of John Rary. Now, John Rary in 1800s was the master horseman. He was a celebrity. He was like Monty Foreman. And his story is wonderful. Rick Lamb produced it and did it and did a good job on that, because you hear about the Berries and you hear about the modern day clinicians and some of the guys that are trying to explain it. But he was a master. He could take any horse. In the 1800s, everybody had to have a horse, and they were dangerous, and so he could fix them. And I had heard when I was younger about somebody that could do everything in a 35 by foot area. And so I think they were talking about Rary, because he would go into stall with his horse, lay it down, and completely change his life. And we do it, and I've done it hundreds of times, and I teach my students how to do it if they have a mind to do, because it's fun. When a lot of my older students, we teach those horses to lay down so they can get on. And,
That's awesome.
and they go over there to their little old Mustang or whatever, their trail horse, and get on, and that horse stands up, and it's
So it's
pretty
a smart
cool
way to
stuff.
do it, isn't it?
Well, yes, because that's why we teach them to curbside. It's called Curbside Service, Please. And the book was written by Lauren Woodward. She did a good job explaining why we need to have horses that are that compliant with us. So you can go to mount on the horse trailer, from the horse trailer, or the mounting block, or the boulder, or the tree, anywhere. And that horse stands perfectly still and waits for you to mount. They don't move their feet until they're asked to move their feet. We just turn the mind on, then turn the feet on.
I love it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. But when you're teaching a horse, there's 4 steps you have to go through when you're teaching. Physical is what to do. Mental is how to do it. Emotion, that's what drives the engine. That's what either gets you killed or gets you the reward. So I was working with a major trainer in California one time, and she said, "What did you say?" And I explained it again, because the first time I explained it to the group, she was talking under my feet and didn't pay attention. But when she was having her lesson, we were working with 2 2-year-olds, a stallion and a gelding. But anyway, she said, "Oh no, I have been putting first
The emotion?
no, the emotion with the second step, physical, mental, and emotional." So she was combining mental and emotion together. Aha. And I gave her the exercises that she had to do to change some things. And I said, "Has anybody ever shown you this before?" And she said, "No. Oh," she said, "I wondered." I said, "You can't sit on that horse and try to look perfect as if you're in a horse show. You have to ride and guide stride for stride. You have to be at the right place at the right time for the right reason in the right way. You know, that horse is totally guided by what you're doing and how you use your body." And so and then we get to the 4th side, it's the spiritual side. When we've taken care of what to, how to, and emotion, and you can do it at the walker, trotter, canter. The basic handle is all done at full speed. And those riders that get to that level of having a horse run down there and slide and stop and gallop over to its hocks and come out and do a double inside roll out to opposite lead, that's the Jimmy Williams special. And the Jack Brainerd special is a roll away with a double 360.
Wow.
Well, you ask anybody to ride a horse like that and they go, "Huh?" They're missing all the fun. And what makes a working horse work is proper working and proper instruction. Anytime a horse has the fear button, you want to turn the worry into work. Not destructive work, but constructive work. You want to turn that into a teaching moment with a smile on your face. Wow. And say, "Oh, you want to jump sideways? Yeah." let me go with you. Can I ride it, please? It is a hoot. But
I love it.
Yeah, well, you have to give a horse a foundation before you take him out and run barrels. I worked with a barrel racer 2 weeks ago, and she's got wonderful horses, and I've taught her, about 3 years ago, but she wasn't having fun. She was too critical of herself. You have to have fun with fundamentals and not get on the dark side with what you're doing. Forgive and forget. It's nobody's fault but yours.
I love that. That's so true.
Thank you for listening to the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. Scott will be right back with more. For more information on Scott Knudsen, the Cowboy Entrepreneur, visit us online at cowboyentrepreneur.com.
And the other day we were talking, you were saying the horse is controlled by one part of your body.
Oh, yes. And I was getting to that.
Oh, I can't
And
wait.
you know,
I thought it's so fascinating.
yeah, it is fascinating. And when you see it done and how we teach it so fast, so people, the first time they get back on their horse, they know and can handle that horse properly. But what part of your body controls the direction of the horse? If you have a bit in the mouth, is it the hands, or is it the fingers, the wrists, the elbows? What controls the horse when you have to be in rhythm with the gait you're on? Well, surprisingly, it's the elbows. The elbows give the bit to the horse. The horse actually follows the swing and the movement. Get a bridle up off the back wall and hold it out under the crown piece and have somebody move that bit, and you'll feel what that horse is feeling in their mouth. But if you get a swivel-sided, jointed mouthpiece, curb bit with no drop back curb loop, it pinches in the lips and gouges the teeth, and it becomes a torture weapon. That's why they put tie downs on and things. Running martingales are 100% acceptable because they have to be long. When you adjust to running martingale, it's to the throat or to even with the top of the horse's shoulder blades straight up. And but they put that horse in a vise and they pull hard, and you'll see it at every rodeo and every warm-up pen and every people out there with trail. The only reason we had a tie down on our world champion is we had a noseband that was all silver, and we wanted to show it off, but the tie down was totally loose all the way to the throat.
I love
So
it.
that it never.
It was a costume.
Yeah, it was a costume, and well, when you got it, you flaunt it. And,
Absolutely, you do.
yeah, and when you got it, fancy stuff, go wear it.
Well, you're Miss Rodeo Arizona. You can say
Yes.
that,
Yeah, I can say that. Well, when I was running GRA in the old days, it was Girls Rodeo Association, I was best dressed for the state in 1969. And I have the trophy to prove it. But at the time I was barrel racing, I had 30 beautiful, shiny, gorgeous, name it, homemade shirts and pants and lame, and that's what my husband fell in love with when he saw my gold lame pants and silver ones and black ones and green ones.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I love the story you were telling. Maybe you can share it with the audience where you and Wileen, and she was 8 years old, and y'all were traveling, and there was somebody that had a pain. Would you mind sharing that story?
Oh, I'll be glad to. It's my cousin. I talked to her yesterday, and she was raising paints, and she loved paints and Dalmatian dogs. And we stopped in San Diego to visit her we were coming home from California. Wileen was 8. And we got to talking, and she says, well, I've got a 2-year-old and I haven't done anything with her. And I said, well, do you want to, get her ridden today? And she says, well, yeah. I said, okay. And we went out and went through the program, teaching them a systematic approach to learning. When you're teaching a horse, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third, all the way up to your PhD, your performance horse doctor. And so I talked her through with, she had a balanced ride saddle. We put a snaffle on her, and I talked Wileen through, and she got a full basic handle on that mare, about 4 or 5 hours. And my cousin was thrilled, and she said that was the best horse she ever owned.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, but when you start them properly and you respect a horse and what it needs from us, you're going to get the horse of your dreams. And she got the horse of her. But Wileen was spectacular, because when I opened up at the barn, I was major, equestrian center. People were coming from all over the world to see me and get knowledge of how Monty Foreman did this. But we're now 6 or 7 generations from Monty Foreman, and a generation is about 10 years. So first 10, and most of the people that knew Monty Foreman are up in their 70s now or 80s and or have passed away. Jack Brainerd, I heard, passed away a couple of months ago, and he was one of Monty's favorite students. And he went on to do great work with trainers and professionals to teach him about the footwork. Monty used to say, it's the footwork that counts. You have to connect the brain to the feet, not the mouth to the brain, to the feet. So that's why the control of the horse comes in your elbows as you give the bit. And the movement in your hands, they're never stiff or tight. They're a lot, and you push the elbows, push. You don't pull it back, push, push, push. Now, how do we teach people to do that? It's called riding shank's mare. Now, your shank on your body is your thigh bone, your femur. But in the old days, they didn't have the word femur, so it was a shank. A shank a lamb, shank a ham, and a shank on a man. If a man did not own a horse, he had to ride shank's mare to town. The poor guy. So what we do when you do clinics and stuff, you'll see a line of people with no horse out on a piece of ground, and they're riding shank's mare. So we teach them the movements and the mechanics of what it feels like. So when they get on the horse, they have a direction to go. What would you do if you're out cantering on a horse and I yell to you, roll back or roll away? Mm-hmm. What does it mean? What does it accomplish? Well, a roll away means you're rolling away from the lead you're on to the new lead. And guess what? That's the fourth lead change, the pivot change. The inside hind foot of the horse is the balance foot, pivot, and push foot. So if you understand that, you can help the horse get in the ground. You must get the hind end down before the horse can lift and shift its shoulders the direction you go. If you only pull the rein, you lock the horse's pole and the horse gets stuck, and you blame the horse because of ignorance, and you can't do that. That's why when a person's learning, if you have to go slow and say, oh, this is the steps that I need to do. And to find the steps, we give you the key words. The key words help you remember what you're doing. I had one lady one time that called me and she said, I want to thank you. I was riding with my friend out on the CAP canal, and 2 bicycles and 2 Rottweilers came up behind them. And the Tennessee Walker that their friend was riding is in the dead runaway on top of this canal bank, and went off the canal bank and into the cactus forest. And this other lady, which was my student, and on a Mustang. And you can imagine what happens when you run into the middle of a cactus with any horse. Right. And she said, I could hear your voice and I could hear the keywords, and I bent that horse in 3 strides. And when I stopped, I was in the middle of a cholla. That's a jumping cactus with these big pricklies. And she was that horse was dead quiet, standing there. Let her lead her out, let her pull out all the cactus so she could get her hands on.
Oh my goodness.
And she said, it saved my life knowing how to properly bend a horse. And the secret is you have to understand what the lower flex cue is on a horse and how it turns the mind off, and how you can, in 3 strides, going wide open, 1, 2, 3, be dead stopped on any horse. And it's about knowing the lower flex and how to handle the horse's pole, so that horse knows and is ready and can do it in a fraction of a second. That gets you to the 4th level where they turn their spirit, and it happens fast. a marvelous tape on Facebook, but I haven't seen it lately, and it's too bad. It's Susan Baker, who took my place at Monty Foreman's and was with him until he died. But I taught Susan when she was 17 years old and first came into the ranch, and taught her some manners and things. But we're good friends, and I'm going to see her this summer. I'm going up to, she lives in Idaho, and like me, she's getting old. But anyway, so I'm anxious to see her. And she has a lot of the Foreman memorabilia and things that Monty collected through the years. And I've got to preserve them and, take proper care of them and get more information out, how
Absolutely.
to use the Foreman method to have better success. And Monty in the olden days, when I was with him, usually the clinics were about 40 riders, but when Susie later on in the 70s, they expanded it to 50 riders. So the question is how do you handle 50 riders?
Absolutely.
And some of the big boys have asked me, can you teach me how Foreman did it? So I said, yeah, but you got to take the time to come, and you have to know how the technique works, because we had to memorize, 40 riders in a circle, and then he'd set them on a posting trot, and he would divide them into the skilled and medium skilled and beginner. Boom, 3, and everybody watched every group, 10 minutes and 10 minutes and 10 minutes. And it was done going fast, not walking, not going slow. In the clinics I do and the teaching I do, depending on the age and stage of the people, some people we go slow with, but some people we crank it up and have.
I love it. I love it. Oh my goodness, the
Bye,
time
Luke.
is going so fast.
Yes.
I can't believe it's going so fast. I could just listen and learn, and I know the audience loves hearing your stories. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today. I appreciate you so much.
Thanks, Scott. It was a pleasure to get to talk to you. If you want me back for more, yeah,
Absolutely.
This is only the tip of the iceberg. And
Absolutely. Let's do another show, and
Yeah.
we'll promote it. And it's just so educational, but it's so much fun. And it's so positive.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
we'll do another one. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Yes, ma'am. Bye.
Thank you to all the great sponsors of the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. If you or your business is interested in being a sponsor of the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show, please call our office at 830-992-1786 or visit our website, cowboyentrepreneur.com.
KCAA.